Hi, my name's Tom, and this is my messy pot cabinet. My wife and I like to cook, and we try to pull stuff out of here, and it kind of falls all over the place, as you can see. It's a typical 20-inch cabinet, 22 inches, I think, all the way across. It's a typical cabinet in the fact that it's a big base cabinet, and you can put anything you want in here. We chose to put pots, and we have a bunch of pots and a bunch of lids and some little miscellaneous things. And the problem with this is that, as you can see, we've tried to organize it with little shelves and pots here and there, but it's still hard to get to things. The lids are really difficult to get to. Things in the back are almost impossible to even know that we have them, much less go ahead and get to them. The other problem with this is that there's a half shelf in here. So all of our cabinets, for whatever reason, have a half shelf. And that's great for if you want to put tall stuff in front, but then you block the stuff in the back. And you can't put too much stuff on the shelf in the back because it just doesn't fit. So the whole thing's a mess. So we're gonna go ahead and take the plunge and update this cabinet with some pull-out shelves. And I'm gonna just kind of go through the steps that I'm gonna use to go ahead and install those shelves. So the first step is to go ahead and remove all these pots. So these are pretty much all the pots that came out of it. As you can see, we've got probably about 6 or 7 pans, probably 4 or 5 pots, a bunch of lids. I have another shelf in the back there. So this stuff was all kind of buried in there. I actually forgot that we had a couple of these pots because they were up in the back and hard to get to. So here's the cabinet without any shelves at all, with any pots. That's fine, great. So now I have to go ahead and remove this middle shelf, but it's screwed in. I'm just not sure where exactly the screws are. So I have to poke around and try to figure out the best way to get this thing out. So now I'm gonna go ahead and use an oscillating saw, and I have a titanium tip on it, just in case I hit the screws. The whole idea is for me to just kind of cut right through the screws so they come down. And I'm kind of playing it, I'm kind of winging this here, so let's see what happens. It was notched and then put in there, but there we go. Just for reference, I'm actually using these Rev-A-Shelf pull-out shelves from the Big Blue box store. They were actually a pretty good value, pretty good price for what they are. This is a double shelf, so that's kind of nice. You can get single shelves and then stack them at different heights, but we figured the regular old stacking double shelf was going to work great. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble this and then put it in here. Obviously, if you get a different brand of shelves, the assembly and the installation might be a little bit different, but they all should kind of follow the same basic pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the steps as I go through them. So after you unpackage it, you can go ahead and take these brackets off initially. And the instructions say, just push the black button and it'll pull right off. Well, they just kind of hover their hand over it. You can't see where they're pressing. Here's the way you have to actually do it. You actually have to grab this little lever and push it up. So I'm going to grab this little lever, push it up, and now that comes, and then as you're pushing it up, and now the slide will come off. So push it up like this, and then pull the slide off. So when you're done, you're going to have two U-shaped brackets holding these things on. So here's a U-shaped bracket, another U-shaped bracket, and they actually hold the hinges on. So it's just gonna look something like this. The one thing they don't mention is that these things are covered in grease. They're all lubricated up, and that every single piece of metal has a thin layer of grease on it. So my hands are pretty greasy right now. I've been wiping them on a paper towel every 2 minutes. But anyway, so now we're ready to go ahead and put this into the cabinet. Okay, so once you place the rack in the cabinet, make sure it actually fits. What you want to do is you want to screw some screws into the frame on the side here. My cabinet has a frame, so I actually screw it to the frame, and then you put screws in the bottom and the back. I didn't actually film that because it's nearly impossible to film working inside of a cabinet, but it's pretty straightforward. You just basically pre-drill some holes and then put some screws in. Again, 2 sides on the frame here, a couple on the bottom, and now the frame is pretty secure. I'm actually surprised at how secure it is. I only have, let's see here, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8 screws in here. It's a good steel frame. It's actually pretty nice. I'm kind of impressed by that. So now all I have to do is go ahead and slide the drawers back on and give it a shot. Okay, so here they are. Open up. They actually come out almost all the way. That's actually pretty nice. And then here we go as well. And we'll slide them back in. Looking pretty good. Now I'm going to put my pots away. Okay, so it took me about an hour, but a lot of that was just futzing around with pots, getting my hands greasy and wiping them off. So it really shouldn't take that long, but it did anyway. But here you go. Here's what my cabinet now looks like. Ta-da! And as you can see, everything is on nice sliding drawers. My wife will probably go ahead and rearrange all these and do the way she wants. A little bit tight there, but it actually fits fine. I can still put a couple more pots or pans in here or lids, and this comes out. Again, the nice part is they do come almost all the way out, right to there, so you can grab anything and everything, so nothing is lost in the back. It's a great upgrade. I'm really pretty impressed with this, and I might do this for my other cabinets as well. One thing that I am not real happy about is that the sides are all wire. So what that means is that sometimes one of these lids will slide through and get caught and kind of get stuck in the cabinet. Didn't do it quite there yet, but it will soon probably. And again with the wire, little cords or smaller things might actually fall through and get stuck. So what you can do is you can put either a piece of, you can almost put a piece of like just paper over it, just a thick paper over it, or a little tiny piece of laminate or something, just to kind of keep things from falling through. That might actually make things a little bit nicer. But otherwise, it looks great. The door does close all the way, nice and even. So there we go. You don't even know it's there. The one thing I will mention is this light. Right now I have a light in here. It's not a motion light. It's just a light. I just shoved it up there just so I can kind of see what was going on in there. But I'll put a link to them. I've actually done this in a couple other cabinets. I put motion lights into my cabinets, and they're just battery power. They're rechargeable batteries, rechargeable lights. I'll put some links in so you can kind of pick out what kind of lights you want. I'm actually right now using bar lights that automatically, here, I'll just pull it down. I'm using bar lights, either motion sensor or just turned on. They're great lights. These actually, you just recharge them every so often, and you put them up with either a metal magnet or some Velcro, but I'll put a link to those in the description down below. They actually make things really, really nice for all our cabinets. We haven't put them in all our cabinets yet. We're just kind of slowly moving through, but I think this is going to be the next cabinet that I do put them into. But even then, pull everything out and you can see it even without the light. So these are great little cabinet organizers. These are great drawers. It's a good, fun upgrade. It's a simple upgrade. It's a relatively inexpensive upgrade. I think this is about $130 total. So a couple screws, about an hour of time, and you can go ahead and make your cabinets look great.